Welcome to Pat's Cast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. I'm Matt,
I'm Chris.
and this is our episode for November 25th, 2019.
Left point for Walker, long wrist shot, tipped on net, another save, rebound, scores! Austin Pratt! Bouncing puck, Pratt finds, goes right side for Cole, block comes to Holmes, he'll score! Robbie Holmes has the hat-trick goal here late in the second period of the Pats lead 5-0. Bailey turning along the wall, finds Walker at the left point, goes right side for Feist. Feist a wrist shot, Walker save, pull to rebound, scores! Zach Smith has his third of the year.
All right, we are coming at you just live on YouTube today. We're doing a bit of a on-site location. Chris is out in Indianapolis. We're doing a Skype broadcast with him, and got it looking pretty good on the YouTube broadcast. Kind of coming at you at an unconventional time. I feel a little bit like Rod Peterson actually today. It's 10:30 on the Monday morning, post Grey Cup. I didn't take it off the day off because of Grey Cup. I actually took it off to get to Agribition. And what are you doing down there in Indy?
Visiting some family, taking in Thanksgiving, so double dipping on the Thanksgiving festivities this year.
Yeah, good call. So we're going to try and keep it a little bit short today, but we got lots to talk about. Specifically, we got 4 games this week. Kind of a busy week for the boys, but overall, we can talk about each game individually, but overall, if you take away that Tuesday game, a pretty successful week, in my opinion. I don't want to spend a lot of time, frankly, on that Tuesday makeup game against Swift Current, because that was probably some of the worst hockey I've seen in a long time. It was definitely a display of both the worst teams in the WHL playing each other. It was just ugly. I had to choose because of family stuff, between the Swift Current game or the Calgary game, and I feel like I definitely chose the wrong game. I would hate for someone to see that as one of their few Pats games this year, because that was just... Until the third period. I mean, the third period, sure, you got to pepper him a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like they just dragged us down to their level, because
Absolutely.
Sure, yeah, we have 3 wins, but we've got much more skill than they do.
I think so. I think if that's the way they play, like...
Yeah. I mean, so I know you didn't make Wednesday, but I mean, not a lot of people did see that Tuesday game, thankfully. But you go right into the Wednesday game and the first period, and they were flying. Like, it was a totally different team. Like, it was, I don't know, like what.
Well, you have a team that beat PA on the weekend before, and then comes and plays Swift Current, who just they looked bad when we just looked horrendous. Like, it was kind of embarrassing almost. It was bad hockey.
Yeah.
And then
Calgary, they come out and they're flying. It's physical.
Yeah.
Got something going on there.
I don't know. And you have to give props to Isaac Polche. What is that how you say his name?
I think it's
Swift Current. He had a fantastic game. That that third period, he stopped 20-some shots.
Yeah.
So he definitely stood out for Swift Current in that game, and yeah, I don't want to dwell on that game, because that clearly was not. If you look at the other games this week, it clearly was not a representation of where this team's going and the direction.
No.
So.
Yeah, we can move on. And like I said, Calgary was a totally different game. Like, first period, they looked really good in the first period. The shots after the game, it said there was much more in favor of Calgary, but for whatever reason, but it didn't seem like the play went that way. And and it was just a breakdown in the second period. Catholic gets a break, the power play goal first of all, and then they break down and they have a 2-on-0 shorthanded, and he snipes one past Paddock. I don't know if you were able to watch that game. You said it was not working live.
Yeah, the live broadcast. But you know, it's funny. We harp a lot on New Line and WHL Live, but it wasn't. I guess it's Endeavor now, but I don't think it was their problem. I think it was something coming out of the broadcast because it would go to a we are experiencing technical difficulty, and like it wasn't them just cutting out like it normally would. It was, and they had the screen that was moving, but the broadcast did work better, and got to watch a little bit of it. Again, I mean, Pratt getting that first goal, he had.
Right.
I'm going to look it up how many first goals he has, but
maybe you should have read my Dub Network article. You would have found out.
Oh shit. Well, okay.
No, it's 3. No,
3?
Oh. It's 3. I know it's only 3. I thought it was more.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because I was sitting there. I thought that feels like a lot more. But regardless,
that's why I looked it up.
Did you also look at the Pats' first goals in general and time frames? Because it seems like they're early. Score like they score a lot of the early goals, so they come out hard and fast, and I mean that's good for. It's nice to see them for a team that's where they are to have that energy every game, still coming out like that.
Yeah, it's 3 for. I think it was 3 first goals of the game, and I think that's like total, not just Pats. It's the first goal of the game. So, and I think all of them are quick. Like the Moose Jaw one in the first game was quick. The outdoor game one was quick, and then it was this one.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It did seem like more than 3, but it was only 3. But another thing I got to say is Cole. He had his goal on the 2-on-1 with Pratt. He went 5-hole again, and we were talking about it last time.
Yeah,
it's just a sneaky release. Like he doesn't load up, and the goaltender was definitely not ready for his shot.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting to notice.
Yeah. So and he's heating up. He had 3 up until that point. He had 3 goals in his last 4 games. So that's nice to see.
Absolutely. We didn't talk about the acquisition that was made this week for Denomi. Is that how you say it?
Denemy, I think.
Denemy? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Straight up again. Some of these straight up trades we've been doing lately for coming out of Moose Jaw. He seemed, and you know what? The guys they've picked up lately for these straight up trades seem to be coming into the team and gelling in quite quickly. I was really impressed with the Nyhoff Daly Denomi line. They looked really, really good. They didn't get a ton of points. Daly got robbed in Brandon. I don't know if you got a chance to see that game, but
I seen the first 2 periods. That's it. That's all I had time.
That line is really kind of gelling for 2 relatively new guys and a more of a mainstay guy. Gelling really quickly.
Good. I thought they were really good in that first 2 periods of that Brandon game.
Yeah,
I think he obviously has a little extra motivation being his first game against Brandon, but
yeah.
But Chorney's looked like he's been a nice pickup as well. He's
absolutely,
already.
He has
picked up some points. So,
the Calgary game. Too bad. Some tough goals there.
Yeah, the one thing. Go ahead.
No, you can go.
The one thing about Calgary is the power play couldn't get set up. They couldn't do anything on the power play.
Yeah.
And it turns around to the next game, but Calgary was really good on the PK in that outdoor game. They were really aggressive. They got a shorthanded breakaway. I believe it was Kastelic again in that outdoor game. But they're really good defensively. I think Calgary.
They're a really good team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And their record doesn't really show it, but I think they'll come around.
Right. You just see that little bit of difference when you have those couple elite players.
Yeah.
The difference they can make, right? They can Kastelic with 2 goals and it was got one unfortunately, but
Juice really gave Kastelic some praise. He's like, that guy's ready to be a pro. That's what our guys should be
Right.
looking
Yeah.
up to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was really impressed by his game.
But then it was nice to get into Swift Current and really take it to them. That was the game I would have expected to see on the Tuesday, and to just dominate them like that was
Yeah,
pretty nice to see. Holmesy getting his first WHL hat trick, which is that's good for him.
yeah.
Setoff getting another one, and speaking of Setoff, since he's scored that goal, we've seen his game, let's say, evolve. It's changed a lot. He went from that kind of, well, he didn't score one goal last year after playing, was it every single game?
I believe he played every single game.
Yeah. Now he scored in that outdoor game, and now he's got two. But regardless, we've seen him down leading rushes. He's sometimes the deep man, which is good or bad, but it's just interesting to see him just gain that confidence and change his game. I don't know. Sometimes it's maybe someone just said to him, "Listen, go for it. Like,
Yeah.
do it."
I noticed him behind the net, even in that Brandon game. Like he's
Yeah.
behind the net doing whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's definitely got way more confidence now.
I felt like this Swift Current game was
And
a confidence builder.
yeah, and even that goal, he was down at the net to poke in that loose puck.
Yeah, he
Right?
totally
It's
was.
not like it was a shot from the point or
No,
something. No,
he was right down there. And
right at the goal line.
coming in off that Swift Current game into Brandon, I mean, it would have been easy for these guys. Oh, it's our fourth game in what,
Nights.
5 nights, and on the road.
They
We got a big road trip coming up, and they still
came out in the
came-
first period again.
yeah, they came hard, and even what was it after? Were they down at one point or no?
I don't know. I only won.
They scored three. Regardless, they scored 3 goals in the third, right? And
So I missed a good period.
yeah, the third period was when it really kind of came together.
Well, but right from the get-go in that game, Daly had a great chance 2-on-1 with Nyhoff, and he got robbed. 10 seconds into the game, they could have scored.
Just buzzing. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that line with Denemy and stuff, that they looked really good in the first. Brandon did get the first goal, then we responded. And then, Brandon scored again in the second period to make it 2-1, and then we responded. Setoff again made a nice play. He was laying on the ice behind the icing line, and he got it out to Chorney, and he was wide open. So that was on the power play.
Yeah.
And Brandon's penalty kill is actually pretty good, so it was nice to get some.
Yeah. And in the broadcast, Phil was alluding to all this too, that they are in the last couple of games they're 50%, and they've moved up to pretty much PK is middle of the pack for the league.
Yeah. Yeah, the PK's been decent.
Yeah, the last few games. What happened was they actually were tied at one point, and then Kyle Walker got a goal, which was nice to see. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of our older defensemen. What started me thinking about it was the tweet by Scott saying how he noticed that all the Swift Current goals, a large majority of the goals we got in Swift Current were off rebounds. And it started me thinking about it like, yeah, we're usually on the other side of that because guys not tying up their man, right? And we've been noticing that, and it's like I'm kind of starting to feel like some of these older D-men aren't maybe doing what they need to be doing. Like I'm looking at Feist and Walker, the guys that really should be big, strong guys, sometimes aren't tying up their men the way they should be. And it's just kind of started me thinking about the older blue liners that we have. I don't know, when you think about our D, you think about Setoff, you think about Evans, both playing pretty well. I don't know, I just haven't really seen it from our older D-men yet.
Yeah, like that one game in Winnipeg, I can't remember if it was Feist or whatever, but he was on the man, but the guy just literally put his stick on the ice and tapped in a goal.
Yeah. And it just started that path of me thinking, man, I think that could be our next step with this team is those older D-men. And we saw it from Walker last year. He was a physical presence out there, and it just hasn't quite been there yet this year. And I don't know if that would make a big difference, but I think it could be the next little step for part of this team.
Yeah, they just got to clean up that defensive zone responsibilities here.
Yeah, really.
Speaking of physical, that Brandon game really got physical
Did it
into
ever?
the second period.
So did Swift.
Yeah, but I mean, then right at the end of the period, like it was really bad at the end of the second. So I missed the third period, but
Yeah,
just haven't.
it was actually, those two games were pretty rough compared to what we've seen. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the old school WHL with the brawls and whatnot and going at it. And yeah, it was, but hey, I think it's good to see the passion and the fight still there.
Yeah,
with that
definitely.
team. So that's what I was thinking. When I was watching the rough stuff wasn't out of frustration, which is kind of what I was noticing. It was still, it's that more passionate, for I guess the best word I can find right now is it's not that they're gooning it up. It's that they're just playing. They're still playing hard.
Well, yeah, when Austin Pratt gets a major for fighting at the end of the second period there, like he was on whoever and is just pounding him.
Yeah,
Like
he really was.
this is our like Lady Bing award winner, right?
Yeah. And then at one point in the penalty box, I guess you didn't see the third period, you had Pratt, Setoff, and Nyhoff. So you had
Nyhoff,
three of your
'cause
letters.
Nyhoff had just fought
Yeah. Yeah.
just
So
prior to that whole
you had
incident.
your captain and two alternates in the box.
Yeah, so that says something, right?
And not for chippy kind of,
No.
hacks and stuff. They were legit fights and rough stuff. So I don't know. It just says a little bit about maybe the leadership team there. You could spin it either way, good or bad. But I personally feel it was good. It's not that they're in there doing cheap stuff. They were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And what got to give a little bit of props to Brandon's video. We harped on them last year for how bad it was. They actually looked really good. I was really impressed. And how about Donovan Buskey's first goal? I thought, oh, here we go. But you know what? He looked really sharp from then on. And
yeah, that penalty shot save he made, that was impressive.
Holy, that he was burnt. He was so out of position and just reached across to get that. That was, I don't know. It was pretty early on. You could say that was a game saver too, right?
Yeah, that was in the first period.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was huge for him and the team, and awesome to see him bounce back after kind of an early one there. A tough one, but he got scored on 4 times, but I wouldn't really hang too many on him specifically. But
it's nice to see him get in there. Paddock had started 8 straight.
Yeah.
And he's looked a little better lately, I think. But obviously, Buskey needs to get in there and get some work in. With the 4 and 5, you knew he was going to get one of these games.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe that's Swift.
That's true.
But they gave him the Brandon game, and then so that's fine. We'll see him again this coming weekend with another 4 and 5 as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Just a few other notes I made. Just coming off that Swift Current game, they just seem to have a bit more swagger and jump to their step. And I was just looking at they're playing shorthanded. They were aggressive. Robbie Holmes with that steal, it was unbelievable. I guess you haven't seen it. You should watch that third period. It was
okay. Yeah.
He it was 2 D-men back, and he was the lone man up. and they were cross pass, and he just sniped it out of the air and went and scored. It was
Oh, really?
yeah. So I just from that game, and I know it was Swift Current, whatever, but the fact we lost to them in an ugly game and then came back and just pumped them.
Yeah,
the team just had a bit of swagger coming out of that, and they looked like it. And I guess this can be maybe the segue into what's coming up this week.
Well, yeah, you just get some confidence rolling, right? Like they've been so close.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that it's Swift Current. You score a goal, you get the power play going. A guy scores 3. It just gets that confidence. You're not squeezing the stick as much. Okay, we can do this. We've got this. And then you roll into Brandon, a half decent team, and you beat them. Doesn't matter how you beat them. You get the win. You get back-to-back wins for the first time this season.
Exactly. So, and then the last 10 were 4-4-2. We've got 10 out of possible 20 points.
Oh, there you go. So that's it's not bad at all.
Exactly. But going forward, I think you had the trivia this week.
Yeah, I've got the trivia this week. So I can't take credit for this. I heard this on Canes this week, so I'm stealing from them and Joe McFarland, so I got to give them credit. It does deal with the Hurricanes, but so we've been talking about trades and guys not reporting and stuff like that, so this kind of is what the topic is. So these two players were traded for each other twice back in the day. So I know
day?
Nobody will ever. It was in 1989.
Okay, so I have no chance of knowing, but that's that'll be an interesting tidbit. So before we get to that, the Saskatchewan Podcast Network is supported by Connexus. Money doesn't have to be stressful, and Connexus is here to help. Connexus #MoneyTalk blog provides expert advice, tips, and solutions for all life stages and events. Check it out today at connexusmoneytalk.ca and start feeling confident and stress-free about your money. So,
all right.
Were the same teams back and forth?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was.
What's the time frame?
It's
not the same year.
A couple weeks. Yeah, it was the same year.
Couple weeks?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I don't know the exact dates. I should have looked that up, the exact dates.
Still.
But here's the story.
Okay.
So, Lethbridge Hurricanes sent Colin Gregor to Spokane for Scott Farrell. It took a week for Farrell to show up in Lethbridge. He didn't report at first. And then he played 4 games there. Gregor initially didn't show in Spokane either, but then he ended up playing 6 games. Then both players went home requesting trades and then were traded for each other again. So
okay. So they basically said they both said we don't like this.
Yeah.
And the teams just said, you know what? Just scrub this. That's interesting.
Farrell in the end got traded to Tri-City.
Oh, okay.
But then the WHL instituted a new rule where players who no-show can be moved off the 50-man roster and placed on a suspension list. So it kind of doesn't take up one of your spots if the player doesn't come. So like Daniel Gushin, he's on that list, I believe, because he didn't show. So he's not taking up a spot on the 50-man roster.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the interesting fact that I heard. I was like, oh, that's kind of relevant right now because Kiwi Niemi, him not reporting to Vancouver, they picked up another import now.
Oh yeah, did they?
Yeah, they still have his rights, but he's on that suspended list, so they can go and pick up another import now. I can't remember the name offhand, but they did pick somebody up just this week.
Cool. Well, that's it's a good segue into so our next game is against Lethbridge, and that is going to be a tough one. We've been kind of talking a little bit about Lethbridge over the last couple of weeks, noticing some of their wins, and now they're coming on and they are scoring goals. Did you see the score from against Red Deer?
Yeah,
11-2.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that is going to be. They are quietly have become these points wise, record wise, the second best team in the WHL.
Yeah, they're top of the Central now.
What's that?
They're top of the Central Division now.
Yeah, but they're just behind PA now, I think, in points.
Yeah.
And
1
Yeah,
point.
they've kind of, I don't know, quietly after an 11-2 win, but they've moved up and they're really showing. Kind of funny, after last year, the year they made a push. This year they're maybe even a better team.
Yeah, well, you see the goals for, they're first in the league now, obviously with an 11-goal game, but they're over 100 goals, the first team over 100 goals. But you look at like Ocular, he's been a huge pickup for them, and Cousins has been really hot as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is gonna be
It's gonna
a tough game going in there. And then it's a tough, it's this tough schedule that they always get during Agerbition. So the Wednesday in Lethbridge, tough game there. Off to Calgary on Friday. That could be I wouldn't write them off of that. That's going to be a tough game. They've seen each other a few times here lately. It's probably going to be a little rough.
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
you heard why? You got a little insider information as to why there's some bad blood.
Yeah, it was on a hit on
Dubinsky.
Dubinsky. Yes, Dubinsky. So I don't know. I don't recall one happening here. Maybe it was
Last
in
year.
Calgary. Yeah, last year. It was last year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
actually,
I don't
speaking,
recall it either. And our
yeah,
I tried to go back actually and look through our WHL
last,
Live package, and I don't know if it was a home game or an away game, but I couldn't seem to pull any up regardless. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't.
The
I don't know
only, you
what.
know what? Now that we're talking about it, remember the game they were there, and he got in a fight. He stepped out of the box, and there was a guy that headhunted
Just
him
coming
almost
down the
right
ice.
off the. That's probably it.
Okay.
And was that when they played as the Cowboys or whatever, or was
Ooh.
it the game, one of the last games that Nick and Jake were here?
Mm,
Now that we're talking about it, I remember that he came right out of the box and someone almost took his head off.
okay.
Regardless, that's the story behind a bit of the bad blood between Calgary and Regina this year. Was a hit last year.
Yeah.
So that
But
could
speaking
be
of Dubinsky, he's been in the lineup for a couple games now.
that's true.
Him.
Well,
Yeah.
there's
So I don't
some
know if
rumor about an injury.
maybe that hit that he took against Swift Current, where he got just nailed from behind into the boards.
Yeah.
Maybe that was, but he got right up. So I mean, man, if it's not a 5-minute major, there's no supplemental discipline. But we've seen some ugly hits from Brandon Rivers. He always tweets out kind of those ugly hits, and
Yeah.
they're all warranted, discipline. But then you get some of these that are just minors that probably should have been a major and looked at. It's kind of like, ooh, it's kind of inconsistent that way. But
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a couple injuries because I think Massier hasn't played either.
No, he has.
He was on Tuesday. He was indefinite.
But he played.
Yeah, he played, and then something happened in that Calgary game, and he hasn't played since either.
Okay.
So we're a little short on the forwards now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens in this road trip.
So that's the Calgary game, and then into Red Deer on the Saturday. That's a winnable game.
Yeah.
Red Deer, we've proven we can beat them. We can play with them. So that'd be maybe get some points out of that one. And then the 3-3 ends in Edmonton on the Sunday. Tough game.
Yeah,
Just a tough schedule. Tough game. That'll be a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
Edmonton's just another solid team.
It's tough because we were talking about the energy and the momentum they're carrying. They're really going to need to try and carry that into this stint here, because that's 4 decent teams, well, a few very good teams, and then Lethbridge. That's going to be tough to come out of there with any points. Calgary, we'll see. That's a rough, tough game. Red Deer, we could maybe get one, and then Edmonton's a good team. Who knows if I don't know what their schedule looks like if they're on a tail end of a 3-3 too. But yeah, it's kind of a bad time for this. It feels like, right? Just getting some momentum, and then all of a sudden, 4 tough,
Yeah,
hard games.
yeah, it's a little unfortunate the timing, but hopefully they can ride this momentum. And it obviously, the losing obviously has been tough. I know I interviewed Pratt after the Calgary game, and he seemed more down than he usually is because they played, a decent game in Calgary or
Hmm.
against Calgary. But Shush is staying positive, which is nice to see. He's always conveying a positive message, and like he was really happy with that Swift Current game, as ugly as it was. But um, yeah, if they it doesn't seem the losing obviously gets you down, but it seems like they're staying pretty even keeled just from their mannerisms, the way they're doing the interviews. As
Yeah,
much before that they only had 3 wins, right? So it's uh it's nice to see that, anyways.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's
No,
gonna.
you can still see the passion out there. They're still fighting hard. They're fighting literally for the wins. They sold their soul to get that shutout against Swift Current. They were playing
Yeah,
hard till the last second.
and
We'll
they
see.
had 5-on-3s in that third period as well against.
Oh yeah, right. Like, how
Yeah,
easy would it have been for them to say, we're up enough. We don't
yeah,
need to.
exactly.
We don't need to put our body on the line. These 5-on-3 penalties.
Yeah. Another thing, the fourth line got lots of ice in that game, obviously, with that kind of score.
Yeah,
But it rolled into even Brandon. They seemed to get some decent ice time in Brandon as well in a tighter game. So that's nice to see.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. You know, if a week ago or something, if you would have asked me about the week coming up, I would have said they're going to lose all 4, no question. I think if they can get, if they can play up to what they can come out of this week with some points.
Yeah, I think Red Deer is got to be a win or overtime at least. And then if you can go to overtime in one of the other 3 games minimum, that would be nice. If you get 3 points out of these 4 games, that would be nice, I think.
Yeah, I would. I think
You can
Calgary
go
they could, just because of
get a
the
win.
the passion and the energy they're going to play with there. I could see it.
I mean, so they lost the overtime game, or the outdoor game was an overtime game. The game here was basically a 1-goal game until a minute to go.
Yeah,
So they've been close. It's been really close with Calgary, so we can play with them, and we know we can.
yeah,
And then, yeah, Lethbridge and Edmonton, those are going to be a little tougher, but
yeah.
they're there. They're there. They can,
Absolutely.
they can compete with these teams. It's just getting over that hump to win a couple of these games.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap it up for the day. You got some stuff to do there, I'm sure. And yeah, let's hope for some good efforts this week. See what we come out with, and yeah, have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think. Oh, actually, no. Yeah, I've been forgetting the last couple of weeks. Bears blue line is back out for a new season with Connor Hobbs and Kobe Williams.
Yeah,
So if you haven't checked those episodes out, check them out. They've
totally.
been really good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's Connor Hobbs and
Kobe Williams.
Colby Williams. Yes, former Pats with the Hershey Bears now.
Yeah.
They have a podcast. They did it last year, and this year they've kind of stepped up their game and their quality a bit, and it sounds really good. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun just listening to them ramble about. It doesn't really have a format. They just sort of go for it. So
Yeah, they've get a few more guests this year, I think. A
yeah,
couple more players on, and yeah, they kind of just talk, shoot the shit,
and
talk
they,
stuff.
they talk a lot about their junior days and just their lives as professional hockey players, and some of them on the bubble, and some of them got some chances, and yeah, it's a good lesson. I like it.
Yeah, the last episode, Cutter Hobbs, they get into their schooling and they're talking to a guy that went NCAA, and obviously they went junior, so they're kind of talking about school, and Connor Hobbs is like, yeah, my schooling career didn't last too long, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
About his story. But yeah, so yeah, it's a little nice insight.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. Have a good week out in Indy, and we will talk to you again on, I guess, when
Sunday
you get back,
evening,
hey?
Yeah, I'll be back Saturday night, so.
Saturday the 6th.
Show.
Good. Yeah, we will. We'll be back in studio for our next episode, but no, it looks okay actually. Once you see it on YouTube, I think it looks pretty good. All right, we will talk to you guys later.